PR firm, so those of you who need help, that's where you're gonna go, because you will not regret it. Does so much support for nonprofits and social movements and things that it's just a lovely human being, a lovely mother of a human being. And so we'll be taking some stills and photos and things here, but so you might see that happening moving around. Okay, poets? But Ines, is there gonna be audio or no?
I can do no audio if that's preferred.
Team, is that good? How do we feel about that? Let's do that. I'm just gonna make the call. I'm the AD, I can do that. Cool, great, you're welcome. Okay, bye. Get to your stations. All right, thanks for leaving me that business, and now we officially begin. And with that, I wanna take a moment. I did this the other day, and it was really quite nice. I'd like you just to breathe in this space. I was teaching the other day and in this week around access and privilege and how we carry our bodies through space. And in Vancouver, if you live in a small apartment, you walk into your home and it's small. You're used to moving in small spaces, in crowded sky trains and things, and yet we have nature. We go out to the waterways and the parks and the mountains. And I'm going to ask folks that as I do this, please don't have side conversations. Just take a moment to understand your relationship right now to space, the space around you, because this is a space for many of us we're not from. We live here, we play here, we make money here, we cause harm here, we heal here, we try to change the world from here. These poets are trying to change the world from here, this moment right now, on the traditional, ancestral, unceded lands, lands that were not given away, that were taken. Some of us and our ancestors were forced to take it because we didn't think we had another option. The traditional, ancestral, unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, the peoples and the families here. So as we move through, as you think about the space you're in, think about the stories you're writing together. Thanks so much. With that, let's turn the floor over to a much taller, little bit wider, because he's so buff, because he plays bowling. Do you say play bowling? I'm not sure. He bowls. He plays the softball. Softball? We have balls that throw and ball hit. Your lovely, incredible tournament director who loves the sports is Matt Lipbaum Miller. Thank you. Oh, it says East Van baseball. Baseball. Okay.
Hi, guys. I'm Matt Miller. Matt Milker, for those not in the know. I'm your tournament director. This is the Canadian Individual Poetry Slam. This is where we find a representative to represent this great nation internationally and beyond. We have 24 poets. Tonight we are going to whittle that down to 12 poets that will move on to finals tomorrow night right here, featuring the lovely Lillian Allen. Some things. We have washrooms, gender-neutral washrooms at the back, at the side. They have stalls. They have urinals. Use whichever you'd like. Make sure you wash your hands. Don't be in anyone's business if they're not in yours. And don't shit in the sink. It's our new theme for the week. We don't like that. Don't do that. This is a general content warning for the poems that you're going to be hearing tonight. A lot of heavy stuff, a lot of material that is hard to take, hard to grasp, hard to hear, hard to feel. If you need to take a moment for yourself and exit the room, that is not a problem. Take care of yourself. We do have active listeners. Are we still over here on this side? Yeah, perfect. The active listeners are trained individuals who attend poetry events and offer a supportive presence to the attendees. They are not just listeners, but also caregivers who recognize that emotional experiences can be intense and overwhelming. They come prepared with a special kit that includes various tools to help people manage their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Think of it like having a trusted friend or companion who's there to support you, but also has the resources to help you cope with any discomfort or distress that might arise during the event. They are not therapists or medical professionals, but they are trained to provide basic care and support. Okay? So if you need, Kona, right over here. So, CIPS is not a regular poetry slam. We are not using points tonight. We are using flowers. Red flowers for poet A, blue flowers for poet B. But there are still the rules like a regular slam, meaning no props, no costumes, no musical accompaniment, no nudity. It's a great rule. And no animal acts. I know, they're cute, but not today. Not today. Not here. Judges out there, if you could hold up your flowers so that I could see that you are here with me. I got a 1, I got a 2, I got a 3, I got a 4, 5. Perfect, perfect. Judges, so that you guys can prepare for what's going to go on. Normally we would have a sacrificial poet, but instead we're going to have a sacrificial bout. That way you guys can get your ears warm and get ready for the poetry that's coming to you. So these two people are not in the competition. This is just a little kind of test to get everything going. Are you guys ready to hear some poetry? Perfect. Can I get to the stage? Poet A is Johnny McRae, and Poet B is Cobra Collins. So Johnny McRae is Poet A. He will be the red flower. Cobra Collins is Poet B. She'll be the blue flower. But we are going to first hear from our Poet A. Let's give it up for Johnny McRae.
So I've been building my niece a bookshelf. The first shelf I'm making from memories of nights when her grandfather would sit on my bedside and we would read aloud to one another from Kevin O'Connor and the Light Brigade, a beautiful red hardcover with skeletons charging on horseback under a navy blue sky on the sleeve. And there's already some books on this shelf, Redfish, Bluefish, and Hop on Pop, as well as a book of paintings and few words about the life cycles of salmon. The second shelf I'm going to make from the pocket-sized poetry books her grandmother used to keep on a bedside table, and so here she'll learn about sonnets and haiku, every living thing, and whatever stories of myth time call her attention. She might sit on my knees the way I sat on her great-grandfather's and learn the music of speaking when the words call forth a voice. The third shelf I'm going to make from the masking tape that holds together my first copy of Lord of the Rings. And so here, she'll find her way with a golden compass, riding sandworms with Beowulf or Odysseus, or she might travel to the moon in the shell of a giant snail where she'll learn the language of trees, or slip on a ring, step into a pool, and find herself in another world altogether where everything that moves has words. The fourth shelf I'm going to make from the bindings of old journals. And so here she'll learn about ceremony and free enterprise, teen angst, poetry, and raven song rising into thin air. Everywhere being is dancing on this shelf. The book thief goes train spotting and finds the kiss of the fur queen, where my soft response to the wars is orange is not the only fruit of American gods. And by the time she's tall enough to reach the books on this shelf, she'll be old enough to pick whichever the fuck she wants to have there. Old enough that when she asks me why the last book on the last shelf is Oh, the Places You'll Go, I'll be able to tell her because that shit's fucking timeless, sunshine. And inside its cover, she'll find a note reminding her that a bookshelf should be a garden bed for stories, that she should learn to read all the greasy fingerprints and watermarks and dog-eared pages, the rips and tears and tiny little notes in the margins, the broken bindings, the missing bindings, the bindings that open to hands like the hearts of old friends, to know that books were made for generations of fingers, and that I built this bookshelf out of a memory and a dream, that someday I might hand down a little red hardcover under a navy blue sky with the words, "Take this book into your hands and know you are holding your grandfather's."
Johnny McRae, Poet A, everybody. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B, Cobra Collins.
I'd like to dedicate this poem to a gentleman I met last night who is in an audience named Nasser, who is from here, from Gaza, fighting for his family in Gaza here. This poem is about how easy it is to be silent. The first rule about the Bulladrome is that you do not talk about Palestine. Make sure you mind your foul lines. Don't worry, the sharp siren will sound when you've gone too far, a reminder of a slippery slope. Pull back, you are getting too close to something uncomfortable. No twisted wrists or loose lips. Focus on your own form. No talk of wrecked ships or how long it takes for a child to starve. Keep your head down. Keep your eyes on the arrows. Make sure you follow through. As men in gray sweatpants hurl smooth stones down a slick path with room to spare. Here, people will frown when you take a selfie. Vanity is not welcome at the bowling alley. Here, it is important to not be like other girls, but only be like other girls. Here, no one cares if you're fashionable. Here, I very rarely mention genocide as bombs disguised as canned goods. I don't talk about it, and it feels nice, and it feels irresponsible. The shoes fit half a size larger than I expected, and I am out of my league, which is the most normal thing about this normal place. To be the person who strikes out at all of this small talk once again. No one wants to be reminded of the gutter when they are on their way to a perfect game. I mind my foul lines. The first rule of the Bolodrome is that you do not talk about Palestine. Marcy, thank you so much.
Okay, gonna introduce both poets back up the stage. Cobra, you're gonna actually be on this side. Johnny, you're gonna be on this side. Hey, note for the poets. And we're gonna stand in close for the people on the camera here on the live stream. We are on YouTube right now on Poetry Lab TV. If you wanna send the link out to anyone and share it and hashtag it and all that good stuff. Poets, in the future, if you're Poet B, you're gonna stand on this side. If you're Poet A, you're gonna stand on this side because red and blue, right? Gotcha? Cool. Okay, judges, here we go. We're gonna see who won this sacrificial bout. Let me see who you got. Throw your flowers up for Poet A, red, Johnny McCrae, or Poet B, Cobra Collins would be the blue flower. Okay, I got red, blue, and blue. Okay, that is 3-2 for Johnny McCrae. Give it up for Johnny McCrae. Give it up for Cobra Collins, everybody. One thing I forgot about the rules. Even though we are not doing a regular poetry slam, we still do have the time limit. So 3 minutes with a 10-second grace. If you get to that 3:10 spot, you're going to hear this noise. And when you hear that noise, you will stop doing your poem. Thank you. Okay, are we ready to get into this thing for real? Okay, I got bout number 1 coming up to the stage. Poet A is Carissa, Poet A, everybody, give it up. Going one-on-one with Poet B is going to be Fire. First up to the stage, Carissa, give it up, everybody. Keep on clapping.
I kept justifying the choice to return to this man. Like our relations were part of God's master plan, like this was meant to be. When in reality, it's been years since his energy's been clean, and that's just not meant for me. Still, I willingly blinded myself with love, not even his, but mine. I realized it's my love that made him special and was keeping us tied. He just reaped the benefits. He went with the flow, he rode the tide. I mean, in truth, I do the same. I know being loved by me feels sublime, and that's a fact, because I used to feel it all the time, till I started spending less of it on me and giving it to him, while he simultaneously stole my heart on a whim just because it was available to him. You know, Bob Marley said, the biggest coward is a man who wakes the love of a woman with no intention of loving her. I agree, because no reciprocation will really test your patience, but above all, it hurts. You see, some of the things we endure in love should really be a crime. Now, I'm not perfect, but I've been in the purgatory of heartbreak. I've done my time, yet I return to him again and again against the advice of my friends because, hello, my name's Carissa and I'm an addict. You see, when I love a man, I'll take love from him any way that I can have it. I'm in recovery now, but still I carry the pain of this relationship in my heart like it's an addict, afraid to pull out the boxes of memories and dust them off because I'll see the crumbled boundaries and dignity I was lacking, allowing him to stumble over me while at war with himself, all in the name of compassion. Can you imagine? He wouldn't open his mouth to express his emotions, but I'd allow him to open my legs and make excuses like, oh, this is just how he shows his passion. Can you imagine? The fool's love can turn us to. Now I'm in the mirror like, girl, I know you knew better too. You knew from the first time he showed his hand it was a losing one, but you chose to fold even though you knew you'd win if you'd leave. And now you're facing heartbreak because you're forced to grieve because you broke off pieces of yourself to make him fit, to put him on a pedestal next to you where he didn't belong, but still you allowed him to sit. You gave him his position. You should have left him on the bench. And I don't mean the sixth man, I mean way at the end, still in his warm-ups, not expecting any minutes, but you didn't. You let him on the court running ISO so you could endure the pain alone, and now you're mad at him, but really, whose fault is it? You chose commitment after bashfully skipping by all his red flags as if they were pointing you in his direction. Please take a time out. Some real reflections. I see you got lost in his, thinking he saw you too, but he didn't, and that's okay. The best skill to master is acceptance, and the best way to hold yourself is with pride and to move with grace, because those who love you won't play in your face. You need to listen to the universe when it sends you lessons. Like you can give a person love, but they're not obligated to accept it. You know they say you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, and that's something I've accepted. Because love is meant to feel, but also to reveal, to expose the raw parts of our souls that needed attention, the parts that needed healing and not just a feeling. So when it comes to growth, that's something I'll always mention. To know that memories are not worth regretting, and life after the death of the things I was expecting.
Yeah, give it up for Poet A, Carissa, everybody. And keep on clapping for Poet B, Fire.
And if I ever get married, I will be wedded to the grave, same place where the meadowlark lays, same place where I pay penance for my waste of favors, same shaded grove that holds my brother's bones. Tired of the shadow's cold protection, I ask again to love the light's presence, this time gifted guilty pleasures in a crossbow. Cut away the flesh I hate, expose the naked bones, bear our weapons and our weakness, call it circumcision. Call this double vision. If I was better formed, both would be called blessings, but this is too complex for me. I'm simple and still incomplete. I'm a tool of the state made for labor and for killing. I'm a fool playing games with all the presents I am given. I'm the ruler giving people reasons for their living. I tell all my followers that devil at the crossroads exists only for the townsfolk. Once you leave home to pursue your own holy reality, all paths bring the same thing to pass. Less traveled and heavily trafficked. The trials of will and the passage of fire fill bowls that are spilling and walk on the wires, can't stick on the struggles we grew with when new pains make new rules, and truth only splits when conflicted, so sometimes I twist it a little. Same values may persist, but we need a new constitution to live with these new diseases that haunt and afflict us. Same floor, but this feels like a new season. Same floor, but the room has a new ceiling. Many fresh corpses, let's not do the old grieving. No longer believe in your weeping and tearing of clothes, putting ash on your head from homes we destroy. Where is the purpose in hurting with no true regret for the deaths? While we call them disgusting, still enjoy the legacy of warriors in love with the glory and gore and the hope of eternal reward. I really wish to love the spring, but all I see in green is the decay that brings it. And all I know of beauty is the gravestones that flowers cling to. I lifted up the veil, and their face was just bones. With tombstones and twisted trees will build our bridal home. And when a child is born, let's hope one day it is more. Thank you.
Yeah, give it up for Poet B, Fire. And if I could get Carissa back up here on my red side. So you heard from Carissa, poet A is red, Fire, poet B is blue. Judges, who do we like? Red, 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 red. That is 5 red for Carissa, meaning Carissa moving straight on to finals tomorrow. And we will hear from Fire later. Okay, coming up with bout number 2, I have poet A, Shahada Jack. Give it up. And poet B is going to be Jules. Shahada Jack, poet A red, Jules, poet B blue. We're going to hear first from Shahada Jack. Give it up for Shahada Jack, everybody.
A lifeless white chalk outline is what was left of his body. An imprint of his destiny traced out onto this jagged concrete. If these streets could talk, they might tell you how he got shot. They might tell you how his blood painted over the pain of the lost son before him, and the lost daughter before him, and before her, and before him. If these streets could talk, they would tell you about the hymns that hum in the night when mothers rest to mourn their murdered children. A silenced legacy, a stolen destiny. If these streets could talk, they would tell you about the blue lights that decorate unwelcome nightmares. They tell you about the hood Van Goghs that captured the beauty in forgotten faces that mend broken seams. The community leaders that were gone too soon. The garden of resilient change makers that never got to bloom. Their vibrant rays of joy shadowed by a storm of stifling oppression, a system of premeditated circumstance, the theft of a second chance even when there was never a first to begin with. If these streets could talk, they would tell you how they memorialize the souls society chooses to make a spectacle of. In little feet that run bare along concrete and hold hope in each step. In laughter that liberates forgiveness with each breath. In sidewalk flowers, homemade meals, old teddy bears and nostalgic wraps, and family barbecues filled with unconditional love connected by the blood running through veins, or spilled carelessly in vain. If these streets could talk, they would tell you that they love you, that they're sorry they couldn't protect you from the world, from history, from yourself. Only if these streets could talk. How I wish these streets could talk. Thank you.
Shahada Jack, everybody, poet A. And keep that applause going for poet B, Jules.
How to dig a grave. Laugh. Joke with her sister on the way there about joining the Gravediggers Union. Step into the cemetery, feel the sting of late October. It is the last thing you will feel for a while. Take her out of the bag where she has existed for a year. She is dust, the same color as the snow falling softly around you. Kneel down. Draw a rectangle in the snow the size she now is. Laugh. Joke. As her brother arrives to join the Gravediggers Union. Hold her sister. Let her brother make the first dent in the snow, the sound echoing all the things she did not become. Pierce. Scoop. take turns unearthing earth. How can anyone rest with all this noise? Pierce, clang, a rock. It's red, her favorite color. Pierce, clang, scoop. The Union states 3 feet deep for a cremated body, 1 for the Father, 1 for the Son, 1 for the Holy Spirit, lowering. Pierce, clang, scoop. Her father supervises from afar, says his body is too weak to dig, but how can a parent bury a child? How can a brother bury a sister? How can a sister bury a sister? How can you bury her? How can she ever be anything but in between? Anything but almost. Pierce, clang, scoop. Wonder if she dug this grave herself years before. A bottle in hand, it's getting easier to dig the more numb your fingers become. Pierce, clang, scoop. 3 feet down and you can't feel a thing. Silence. Level out the bottom of the grave as the rest of the Union arrives to survey your work. Dirt on your hands, dirt under your fingernails, dirt under your skin for years. It is hard work finding peace. So you pray. Remember how cold her hands were. Remember how cold you were before the digging turned you numb. Wonder why it sounds like the sky is cracking. Realize it's because your mouth is open, parched, screaming as her brother lowers her into the grave. You worked so hard to dig. The Union approves. Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. Back into the grave, feel nothing but the absence of heat, the absence of her, numb as the earth folds back around her like God making Adam in reverse. Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. She is white powder like snow. She is not fully in the past tense yet. How can you forgive her for all the things she did not become? Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. You can't stop someone from leaving when they spent so many years trying to get away. Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. Pierce, clang, scoop, drop. How can she rest with all this noise?
Poet B, Jules, everybody. And we'll get both our poets back up onto the stage. So we had Poet A, Shahada Jack, Red Flower. We have Poet B, Jules, Blue Flower. Let me see who you got, judges. I got a red, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue, and I got a blue. 4 blues to 1 red. That means Jules going on to finals, and we will hear from Shahada Jack later tonight. Give it up for the poets, everybody. Okay, next bout. I've got Poet A, Lucia DeLuca. Give it up, everybody. Keep it going. For Poet B, Maya Spoken. So Lucia DeLuca will be Red Flower. Maya Spoken will be the Blue Flower. But Lucia DeLuca is up first. Give it up for Poet A, Lucia DeLuca.
Are you seeing someone about this? The head nurse criticizes my anxiety before minor day surgery. The nurses and techs and doctors quickly diagnosed my questions, pauses between decisions, and crying guys as creaky floorboards, neglected to account for the sturdy structure they are laid on. It's true, my amygdala reached into its closet of intergenerational skeletons at the mention of giving up partial control of its body, but I have a prefrontal cortex that can dust cobwebs for 2. During weeks of anticipation, I kept saying, I just want to be home while at home. I desperately wanted to come home to a body with 1 less eerie room than it had before. And I told them, however small the surgery, I needed to remember seeing the clown in all his makeup and replace smudging it with my pinky finger. Still, To calm my nerves, they suggested mild sedation, said it would feel like the Ativan I requested earlier, told me about the part I would consent to, but left out its interference with my request to remain conscious. In your professional opinions, if this was the right professional decision, why did you choose to trick me into it? If this consent was proper, why did I wake up so distrusting I considered ripping out my own IV? How much of my drip was the hydrating fluid you promised? How much of it was sedative until you realized you overdid it? You said mild. I was a zombie lingering in new corners of my body for 5 days. Came home still saying, I want to be home. Wailed about the number of tickets cashed to watch and marvel as my fears were put to sleep. In your professional opinions, would you assume that I struggle in all parts of life if we'd only interacted in a haunted house? Or would you have the capability to recognize that I do not react to the whole world as if it is a haunted house? They assumed they knew me based on a singular setting that triggers me, but I was prescribed 2 pain medications and picked up neither. I've been stung by a jellyfish, then got back in the water. I share vulnerable stories with audiences of strangers. I thought the haunted house was my body. The haunted house was the hospital. Each worker wearing uninformed consent behind a mask of informed consent so uncannily, I didn't know to snap it. In your professional opinions, was it appropriate to decide for me that I should be drugged so heavily just because it's what you would have wanted? When I told you, my decision was to cope. In my professionally anxious opinion, you need to look closer and watch as I walk through these ill-lit hallways with a pounding heart, while you insist on avoiding everything that scares you, starting with me.
Poet A, Lucia to Luca, everybody. And coming up to the stage, Poet B, Maya Spoken.
Have you ever seen a crucifixion? Someone with arms outstretched, willing to die to save man from the consequences of his sins, because I have. See, I grew up in church where little girls are taught that sacrifice is an honorable act of love, that there is beauty in hanging yourself to die for the sins of man so that they may escape the consequences of their actions. And I'm starting to think that might be why I was told to stay quiet about the sins committed against me by the youth pastor. I'm starting to think that's why girls are taught to be silent, and why men aren't taught not to give them stories to speak about, why so many uncles sit at dinner tables they shouldn't be welcome at anymore, why it took minutes for girls to be dress-coded at my high school and 10 years for the predatory teacher obsessing over their clothes to be arrested. I'm starting to understand how women have been forced to take the blame, why when someone is assaulted, people ask, what was she wearing? Society will dress women in body bags and unmarked graves to protect men in suits and ties with CEO before their name, but suits and ties are not bulletproof, and I refuse to let silencers turn me into a human shield. They say behind every great man is a great woman, but the truth is that behind a lot of what we think are great men is a success paid for through someone who's being kept silent, or someone who's crucified when they don't ask me if I've seen a crucifixion. And I will tell you, every single day I watch women abused by their husbands, expected to smile with their lips sealed to protect his name, arms outstretched in an act of sacrificial giving, taking on the cooking, the cleaning, the shame of abusers they were not meant to carry. When my high school boyfriend trafficked me, he groomed me to be a sacrifice. And the worst part is, I couldn't even receive justice without piercing the wounds again and again to tell my story for a legal system that couldn't even bring me redemption. When elders complain that there are so many women who don't stay in their marriages anymore, I want to say, isn't it a good thing that there are still so many women? Doesn't that mean that they aren't dying anymore? Isn't it beautiful that women are choosing to be mayhem instead of martyr? Wouldn't you rather see higher divorce rates than victims of violence committed by a partner? Isn't it time we stop normalizing a world where women women are crucified for the sins of men, for every woman made a martyr. I say, let's be a reckoning. The problem isn't that there are so many Jane Does, it's that we haven't made it safe enough for women to speak about what they're experiencing without forcing them to enter courtrooms without their identity. I grew up in church where little girls are taught that sacrifice is an honorable act of love. So today, I want little girls to be taught that pain is not the price you pay to receive the love that you deserve. Love doesn't make you a sacrifice. It doesn't call you to be a crucifixion with pierced holes in your hands. Love, when it comes, will make you whole instead.
Poet B, Maya Spoken, everybody. If I could get both poets back up to the stage. Lucia on this side, Maya on this side. Lucia was poet A, that is your red flower. Maya Spoken was poet B, that is your blue flower. Who do we have victorious? Put them up. Blue, blue, blue. Blue, 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 blue. Give it up for poet B, Maya Spoken, going straight to finals, and we will hear from Lucia DeLuca a little later on. Time for our next bout. I have poet A, start clapping now, start clapping now, start clapping now for Ida, going up against poet B, Rusty. Ida will be the red flower. Rusty will be the blue flower. First, we are going to hear from Ida. Give it up, everybody.
On fucking the jock I knew in high school. He is fucking me from a distance, at an angle more awkward than a teenage slow dance, not even attempting to maintain contact with my clit, let alone the rest of me. This is so bad, I am constructing lines of poetry in my head describing how bad it is while he is still inside me. He looks like a cheerleader's peer-induced one-night stand and kisses like a bad 80s movie. I am just waiting for him to come so I can sleep away this mistake. I feel like I'm being stabbed in the vagina, so I don't know if I can even pretend to enjoy this, but I tune my breath to a moan anyway. Guttural enough to be believed. I mean, God forbid he feel inadequate. He fucks me from a distance, and I wonder why it is taking him this long. It's probably the boomerang of the whiskey, but nevertheless, I wonder if it is me. His eyes look over my body. I can see the scrutiny so clear as if he is scanning me for imperfection. I've taught myself to wear my imperfections with pride, donning feminism like Kevlar, but memory kicks in, and there are still bullet holes left from 5th grade change rooms. So I shrink away at his blondness, his smooth, his muscle and sinew, his privilege, his ego. I catch a glimpse of the contrast of our skins. It is nostalgic in the worst way, the way all high school shit is. But now we are both drunk and directionless, yet I am still the one feeling defenseless. Clearly, bad sex sends me spiraling into an identity crisis. And now, I am wondering how I got here, or why I let him into my bed like a social experiment gone wrong. Would it be rude to stop him? Or should I be flattered, consider myself lucky to be noticed? After all, here I am in bed with popularity incarnate, and he will be telling his jackass friends every detail, every handful of my body, every stretch mark and scar, every handful of my body, every stretch mark and scar, every stretch mark and scar, with half-assed guesses as to where they came from. I am sitting naked in a classroom, naked against the festering apathy, the quivering mistrust, and I hate myself for caring, as if it's been built into me.
Poet A, Ida. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B. Give it up for Rusty.
Every so often, when I'm writing, I feel the pen biting back, teeth clenched into my flesh, an eternal reminder of the writer's curse, to think in poems, to talk in charades. The pen has an eye. Everything it sees, it converses to verse, to tragedy. This pen peeper is not a pretty one. It cries ink, drinks paint, and snorts paper. It constantly has a black eye from beating itself up, as if seeing the world is enough. The pen has density. It is a bone I never asked for, which I now need to stand up straight. The spine leads me onwards, away from my shadow, which now has trouble knowing which of my infinite personalities it should follow. The pen's ink infiltrated my bloodstream. The pen has veins of its own. It edits my senses to craft better stories, recalls of memories long last forgotten, scribbles them deep into my bones, onto any surface resembling a womb. I asked the pen why. Why it seemed to smile the first time I cried. Why it kept me up at night to scrape my demons off the walls. Why I can recite my feelings to a crowd, yet still fail to express them to my own mother. Why I get drunk on grief and pain, knowing the firelocks they induce around a campfire could make a pyromaniac blush. Why the ink dancing in front of me sometimes isn't even in my fucking handwriting. I beg the pen to make it stop. And still, it gnaws at me, munching in silence. The pen's tail twists into a snake, melding itself around my arm, slowly advancing towards my neck and my tongue. I tell the pen I'm dying, and it writes my obituary. Thank you.
Poet B, Rusty, everybody. Oh, Rusty, you got this side. Ida on this side. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Smile for the camera. Okay. We had Ida, red flower, Rusty, blue flower. Who do we like, judges? Put them up. I got a blue, I got a red, I got a red, I got a blue, and I got a blue. That is 3 blues, 2 reds. That means Rusty is heading to finals, and we will see Ida later tonight. Okay, we are rolling into our next bout. I got Poet A is going to be Nico Smart, and Poet B is going to be Ever. Give it up. Bring them up to the stage, everybody. Nico Smart will be your red flower. Ever will be your blue flower. First, we are going to hear from Poet A. Give it up for Nico Smart.
When I was little, my mom threatened to attach an elastic band from my forehead to feet, afraid I'd grow faster than she could feed. Time has me slated with stretch marks and stress lines, stitching new wounds open under familiar street signs. Childhood a chore I've been jaw-dropped back into. I return home, and my memory flatlines. Fluent in feeling out of pocket in familial space, we sit round the dinner table and pretend to say grace. I'm worried my therapist thinks I'm boring. 6th floor office, spitting distance from the courthouse. I'm throwing noise at good questions, but can't quite stick the landing. Caught carrying my body like it's planning to kill me. She tells me to quit the caffeine pills and I quit my job. Says I seem grounded while I grind myself down to the fault. Is it history or hysteria keeping me here? Boredom or bad judgment bringing me back? Coming home is repurposing my energy to pay for more therapy. My therapist says, totally. 6th floor to street level. I stretch myself thin trying to heal for my family. Snap the band and still come up short. My grandmother is the youngest of 5, born just after internment camps, married the first white man to ask her to dance. I think she's been short of breath ever since. Tiny in stature, overlooked and looked over, taking her seat like she owes it a debt. Hate has siphoned the language from her, then asked why she has no culture to foster. And I've relearned my body a billion ways still. I'm constantly feeling out of place. History, it has a ghost hold on me. Time has transplanted us where nothing can grow, told us to buck up. I work out past traumas and I'm applauded for weight loss. Interrogate my identity. Was I meant to be a woman in this family, stowing our secrets in each other's mouths? Open mine and it's grandma's voice that comes stumbling out.
Nico Smart, Poet A, everybody, and keep it going for Poet B, Ever.
I soak my skin in simmering water and oil, trace WebMD contexted fingers along my lymph nodes to nudge the dream-calibrated modules of sleep down a throat that tightens to hold itself, begging for time I don't have, so that my carbonated chest can simmer down. Deprived of a clean slate, I waken in a sullen state, curled in like a baby, fetal. Holding on to images pedantic to those who say it was just a dream. Haunting hours hunkered down a commodity, common currency, expected courtesy, inflated by lack to interrupted luxury. The tide rises on a past I've left spatially. In my unconscious, I face corrupted thieves. I converse with the banished, pecking at me like crows, and my peace is the pie. Arms spread out, crushed under the crumbs of a shore break that folds me under rapids, twisting covers. I'm cleaning out boxes of old files, but when I lift the lid, I'm frantic, freeing my ankles from snakes slithering and hollowly sapien. Clicked the fan up to blow at the stewing flames, too hot to dip a spoon into, and so I wake up sleep famished. Fumble into the eyes of the day gods, I tug water down from the sky's belly and rub it between my chewed down cuticles. Try to kill mental cavities, I loosen oil from my scalp and pull it over my lashes. I am like a frog. Using water and oil to craft a pathogenic barrier, night terror is parasitic and supply feeding. I tried to turn myself unappetizingly acidic, and so I am always stomach ulcered and bereaving that I must be reborn often. My teeth draw blood from pockets where I chipmunk my Mount Montserrat of missteps. They are tiny tombstones. Before those dead to me, I stand trial. Pixelated evidence is projected for the jury on the screen. They put up my baby pictures and ask me what I see. I will tell you I was the runt. Shrimpy one, complexion gaunt, lockers stuffed in small souvent, but the first to shake a molar loose. Capitalize off the fairy calcium deficiency, wisdom carved out like a turkey dinner. Depart from the table to flee by river via cardboard boats. We put so much faith in duct tape. We are the first to be brimming with water, sink unto the earth until we are the last brimming with oil. Thank you.
Give it up forever, everybody. Come in closer. It's for the camera, the YouTube. Poet A, Nico Smart, red. Poet B, Ever, is blue. Judges, who do we like? We like them both, that's for sure. I got a red, I got a red, I got a red, I got a red, and I got a blue. That's 4-1 for the Reds. That means Nico Smart is heading to finals. We will hear from Ever a little later on. Okay. Final bout in our first 6. Coming up to the stage, Poet A is Star Jewel. Give it up. And Poet B is 1990s Chris. Star Jewel will be the red. 1990s Chris will be the blue. But we're hearing from Star Jewel first. Let's give it up for Poet A, Star Jewel.
Vasoconstriction. Definition. the narrowing of blood cells in response to cold temperature, especially in the hands and feet, a mechanism responsible for retaining body heat. In northwestern Ontario, temperatures drop to -40 below. Our fingers, fixed in a permanent curl-up, are crusted with the stench of frozen minnows. I can count at least 5 people who have dropped their phone down an ice fishing hole. Here, we are only concerned with how to survive. There is no movie theater or bowling alley, just snow machines and hockey rinks. Attractive guys are the ones on Tinder who pose beside animal hides and Budweiser drinks. The only thing that stops the shiver is a 2-6, whiskey that slips down the esophagus. You can call it alcoholic, but I would call it coping. When the sun sets at 5 p.m., vitamin D is a deficiency. You roll out of bed, put on a pair of socks, and dread the lonely. You stare out the window at a tree, and then the clock, wondering which one will finally be responsible for your leave. Vasoconstriction. Definition: the narrowing of blood cells in response to cold temperature, especially in the hands and feet, a mechanism responsible for retaining body heat. Ironically, prolonged, it can lead to tissue damage, decreased oxygen supply, frostbite, necrosis, gangrene, death in merely days to weeks. Adelaide only had 6 houses. By that winter, 3 people had attempted suicide on our street. One was found with their oxygen supply cut, the other with their eyes shut. And me, I woke up, see how seasons keep track of time, but also bodies, how you can't bury a casket in frozen dirt. Wait until spring when river melts and the birds chirp. They say that April births. But look at how ice preserves meat until funeral service, how winter refreshes hurt for lost loved ones with commemorations of snow angels, how decorative lights begin looking a lot like someone being strangled, how Christmas is documented as being the deadliest day in the year, how January is the deadliest month, then February, December, and March, but how in our town, May is when the snowplow finally goes into a permanent state of park on first snowfall. As children, we would jump into snowbanks of powder to make shape figures, form-fitted to our nylon suits and hand-me-down sorrel boots. How much we wanted to grow up, our legs stuck, the closest thing to feeling buried beneath cemetery grass. How we just wanted to understand the stinging tingle when you run cold fingers under hot water. How chocolate burns the back of the throat when it's hot. Why pain sometimes increases as cold defrosts. Why spring is also a period of finalizing winter's loss. Vasoconstriction. Definition: the narrowing population in response to cold temperature, especially seasonal depression, a mechanism that only ever ends in heat or grief.
Give it up for Poet A, Star Jewel, everybody. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B, 1990s Chris.
I bring him flowers because I'm not sure what else you're supposed to do. No one really talks about this bit. I tell him, well done for being alive. I'm glad you didn't, He says, well, I did try. I say, I'm glad it didn't work out. They never finishes a project anyway. So I'm glad he didn't finish this one. I see in his face an ease I haven't for a while. I don't know where to start. That night, the report, the phone call, Sam trying to find the words to tell me, I don't think that's why I'm here, not exactly. So I just say, I bought you some stuff. Hold a grocery bag towards him. He takes it gingerly and looks like he wants to say sorry. I hand him the flowers. The yellow contrasts the red brick of the terraced house. It's harder to watch when you know exactly what is happening. I know what it feels like to check your phone like that, to be on standby for someone else's manufactured crisis. I don't know how to ask him to come with me, to leave these bricks to ruin. I have been in the same house with the same face staring down the same future, which is just a history repeating itself, where everyone tells you to leave, where you tell everyone it's fine, that this is love until you decide it isn't, and give up on what feels like everything before everything that you are is taken from you, or you don't. I want to think that no one could ever be small enough to stay, but we have too many examples too close to home that prove us wrong. The tiny boxes left in the corners of garages, the women of our families, the last remaining traces of who they were before they tried so hard to love someone at all costs. Some people will have you in a grave to prove you cared. I tell him there's a book in the bag. It's about quantum physics. I don't know if it's good or not because I'm not a fucking nerd. I think that he'll like it. It's about space, I guess, and about how we are small and how sometimes that thought can feel good. I just want him to know that there is so much more out there. When I look at the frame of the man and the frame of the door, I think about how we are still just boys. I'd like to think that being a man is about loving the boy that you were, but we have absolutely no examples of this. He tells me he loves the book, that we should go for a coffee. I tried to secure a time and place too quickly. He says that he'll let me know, thanks me for the flowers. I tried to tell him why I'm there. The flowers are cheap. I was just passing. I needed an excuse to knock on the door. I didn't know what else to do. I tried to say that I love him, but it comes out like, let me know about the coffee. As he closes the door, I try not to see the flaky painted wood as the lid of a coffin. Some people will have you in a grave to prove you cared. Thank you.
Poet B, 1990s Chris, everybody. Poets, come back up on this stage with me. We're going to have Star on this side. We're going to have Chris on this side. We're going to smile for the camera. Judges, you heard from Star Jewel. That would be the red flower. We heard from 1990s Chris. That'll be your blue flower. Let me see your flowers in a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Put them up. I got a blue. I got a blue. I got a red. I got a red. And I got a red. That means 3-2. Star Jewel moving on to finals. And 1990s Chris we will hear from later tonight. Okay, so we have 6 finalists. Carissa, Jules, Maya Spoken, Rusty, Nico Smart, and Star Jewel are going straight to finals. Yeah, that's a big deal. And now in our next 6 bouts, 3 more before intermission, we will have the people who were not winners yesterday. I'm trying to avoid the L word. You know what I mean? The unsuccessful poets of yesterday. Does that sound better? The poets that are facing elimination. I like that. We'll go with that. Well, that just sounds like filler spots. None of that. Welcome up to the stage. Oh yeah, full transparency. Life happens, and sometimes people can't be here. So we are going to hear from Herbert right now. Welcome up to the stage, Herbert.
There is a mysterious object lurking in the furthest reaches of our solar system. We think it's a planet. A 9th planet, supposedly 5 Earth masses so far out, it takes 10,000 years to revolve once around our sun. At the same time, astronomers are busy hunting other planets orbiting stars with such great varieties. We've seen hot Jupiters, planets so close into their star it takes only days to complete a year, or other planets so extreme it rains glass sideways, literally, or rogue planets. They don't orbit any star, they're destined to wander our galaxy forever. As interesting as they may seem, you won't even last 1 second the moment you set foot on them. But in spite of all this, will we ever get to find the Holy Grail out there? A watery planet that supports life? While astronomers are still busy planet hunting, we still seem to take life here on Earth for granted. Skipping over grass, climbing over rocks, gazing at the night sky. What a hospitable environment here on Earth compared to those other planets. At the same time, however, people here on Earth have been tirelessly defending their land in hopes of saving it from further environmental destruction. So while you're enjoying that campsite, breathing in the mountain air and drinking the river water, the Earth is fast becoming a boiling furnace as greed allows pipelines to be built and forests destroyed to build car-dependent places and parking lots. We are depriving our future generations their ability to enjoy pristine nature. When the last tree gets cut, when the last drop of water gets polluted, and when the last breath of air gets poisoned, only then will you realize that you cannot eat money. So while big corporations continue to turn Earth into planet Uranus, we're still being compelled to keep living life as is, thinking we could move to a new planet and live there right now. But I like to say that it's absolutely impossible. If we could find a habitable planet orbiting the nearest star 5 light years out, a spacecraft like Voyager 1 would take 100,000 years to get there. So I'd say, stop living that pipe dream, stop building pipelines, end car dependency, and start building places worth living in. Start caring about our planet. That is our only home. We cannot let greed and colonialism strangle us any further.
Thank you, Herbert. Judges, I'm going to assume you all put up red flowers. Perfect. Herbert, you're moving on to the third round. And our next bout, we're going to have coming to the stage, start clapping now for Poet A, all together, Lisa. Going up against Poet B is going to be Confused. So Lisa will be your red flower, Confused will be your bee flower, and we are going to hear first from All Together Lisa. Give it up, everybody.
Yea, though I walk through this alley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. This black leather jacket and these steel-toed stilettos. And with these, I can kick the shit out of anyone. If I wanted to, but I don't want to. What I really want is for you to leave me alone, to go away. Disappear like a blood stain flushed with cold water, like a puff of smoke out a speeding car window or cards up a magician's sleeve. What I want, what I really want, is for you to stop talking at me, to be silent, quiet as a graveyard, like a phone with no power. And most of all, what I want, what I really want, is for you to stop typing, texting, and trolling me. I will not reply to your texts if the only reason you are interested is because I am an Indian. And I don't care if I remind you of that Disney princess. I am not your fucking polka fucking hottie. It makes no difference if you have dated other brown girls. I am not another native chick. And you don't need me on your arm when you march against Trans Mountain or stand for water rights. Your tunnel vision attraction is not a compliment to my dark beauty. My brown skin is not yours to fetishize. And don't use me to reinforce whatever stereotypes you've made up in your own mind. Stop hunting me. I am not game. I am not a dark fantasy to be checked off a conquest list. I am not an experiment you talk about in the bar, dehumanize, hypersexualize, imagine by your warped social media colonial brain to be submissive and wanting to be used. I am not asking for your attention. I am not giving you consent. I am many things. Ganahage, Lenape, and a bit of European descent. I am proud. I am strong. I am intelligent. I'm accomplished. I am fucking amazing. I am not a porn category, and I am not interested in you.
Poet A, all together, Lisa, everybody. And keep your clapping hands clapping for Poet B, Confused.
Check. Check, check. Check it. When I was first set upon this earth, one of the first things I was taught and soon forgot was to check both ways before I crossed the street. But now I feel I need to check the ground beneath my feet because these wise guys keep finding woolly words to dust up into my eyes, and then I'm blindsided by these forsworn disguises. And I gotta check what's happening to me to assure I'm living genuinely, so that even if I'm chrome-plated or decked out in jewelry, there'll still be some kind of tomfoolery happening behind a smiley Julie bee. Because I grew roots on the fly. On cue from actors and rafters in a group theater high, I learned to check my drama at the door. And I implore you to do the same. Just explore the membrane between feeling sore and maybe just loving a little more. And I'm not saying don't fight the war, just check what the fuck you're fighting for, man. And if you can, check yourself, because where I come from, if you leave that to someone else, you might end up body checked into a wall. But who could blame them? I mean, after all, until we have classes in elementary to teach us about the badasses of ladies in history, or remind us that this land wasn't given to us by those who were indigenous, or that Socrates studied on his knees with black babies, then how can I expect you to check past the current fantasy that's shat out privileged facts like these? Anyway, when you're ready to check out of this dimension's disease, you'll spot me with these. I'll be the one by the door saying, check, please.
Poet B, Confused, everybody. All together, Lisa, join us up here, Confused. Come in close, come in close. Poet A was all together, Lisa. That's your red flower. Poet B, Confused, that's your blue flower. Who do we want to see more of? Blue, 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 red. Blue. Blue, that means Confused. Moving on to the next round. Thank you all together, Lisa, for competing in the tournament. Coming up next to the stage, Poet A is going to be Deirdre Lee. Give it up, give it up. Poet B is going to be Alita Casey. So Deirdre Lee will be your red flower. Alita Casey will be your blue flower. Coming up first to the stage, Poet A, Deirdre Lee. Give it up, everybody.
True story. No hyperbole. Some dude once told me that my hips could start a war. And I sighed, tried not to roll my eyes, and replied, "Oh, honey, that's not what they were made for." Just like bees weren't created for the purpose of stinging. Oh, honey, don't you know anything? I bet you think water is for selling, and sage is too. I bet you always gotta have someone around pointing out the obvious. You think I make a fuss because I feel disrespected? Honey, I'm just being protective. See, I know where my loyalty dwells. It's with the earth and seas. It's with the trees and shells. It's with those willing to or already going through hell to stand together for all our relations. For past and present and future generations, this revolution comes complete. with reverberations that reveal the power of these lips, these hips, singing, swinging, bringing forth art. Like art is life, like a poem or a song can lift us up out of strife, like we can wear the scars, our scars, like the stripes on a bumblebee, proudly, openly. And why not? Technically, bumblebees aren't even capable of flight, so how about we say fuck the statistic and systems that say we're not right. This fight is not over. It is planetary. It is everywhere, is what the wind whispers to me as she reaches past my hair to reach my ear. This I need to hear. You need to hear this. We cannot miss any more opportunities to save ourselves, our babies. We are seeds. We must revitalize, photosynthesize, conceptualize, realize natural justice before the salmon and the coral and the honeybees are gone, and along with them, all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, keep it going for Poet A, Deirdre Lee, everybody. And keep on clapping for Poet B, Alita Casey.
Upon closed lids there lay draped across mid-foot wet white cloth, calves laying rested upon a pedestal, gin lamps brimming with water's ancient ritual, flowing, cleansing, blessings spilling out of its spout. Women draped in luxurious white linen surrounding me, my sisters. I cannot see your faces, but I can feel your ancient magic rippling through my soul, thoughts of what it must feel like for a goddess to receive. Feeling my throat box stumbling like I'm traveling down a long, dark hallway that I have not been walked down in a decade, like I've once remembered this path. And I'm not sure how one can feel both sad and incredibly cherished and loved all at the same time. Our bodies, our first homes, each limb representing an area of our house, rooms with boxes duct taped shut, buried deep in the back of closets. And before you know it, my house has become smaller and smaller. But these sisters dressed in white, they sit and stir about me, tending to the fires blazing and the candlesticks transported to altars, sitting atop their beautifully adorned and intricate vases. These sisters, draped in luxurious whites, lightly tread about in graceful movement, as though their bodies only know how to dance, embodiment in bare feet, with golden linked jewels wrapped around their ankles, their soft scars adorning their bodies. They sit surrounding me, reaching, readying to carry me gently, their strength in numbers sealed with love. They sit surrounding me. In this stone house lit yellow, the room full of golden undertones shimmering against the dimly lit walls, the open air leading my gaze like it's being flown, and it rides on the breeze of the wind, out to the starless sky and onto the ocean's reflected moonlit water, illuminating grandmother goddess moon, drop down your light and lend me your broom. To dust these corners of my mind in grandmother water, I plead the tears that fall from my face and flow into your sea to be carried into your ocean. May I wash this pain away with the gentle rise and fall of the tides each day. Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Rock, I pray you lend me your fires to compost my pain so that it may be used as fertilizer for love. The flow of your medicine reaching up through my feet to each strand of hair like roots branching out further and deeper and further and deeper into the world's highest vibrational abundance chest. And these gym lamps pour their ancient waters against each crevice and curve of my body, my house, my fire, and my feet as foundation, guiding me in my days.
Give her for poet B, Alita Casey, everybody. Poets, join me back up on this stage. Poet A was Deirdre Lee, that is the red flower. Poet B, Alita Casey, that's your blue flower. Judges, who do we got? I got a red, I got a red, I got a red, I got a red, I got a red. That is 5 for Deirdre Lee. Moving on to the next round. And thank you, Alita Casey, for sharing your work with us. We're at the intermission, folks. This is our halfway point. So we're going to take a little 10-minute break to go and check out the bar there, use the washroom, go out for a smoke, and we will be back shortly with the second half of our prelim night number 2. See you soon.
My Soul Journal. I write my spiritual ideas in my soul journal. Dreaming of love, I see myself eternal. I draw inspiration to compress my feelings. Every day I fight to discover new meaning. Gentle yet strong, my intuition grows wings as I organize the meaning of things. I find myself always evolving in my soul journal. The geometry of my thoughts is personal. I enjoy creating while waiting for future events, sliding on checkpoint spirals of physical plans. I fix the genetics of all the past generations to set myself on a path of divine revelations. I see the beauty of my friends in my soul journal and realize my view on life is quite original. I care for others with big waves of compassion. Inside my heart, each person forms a reaction. Everyone is welcomed to reach new heights. The world's grid comes to life with northern lights. I access my life's purpose in my soul journal. I know I was born to be truly sensational. My dreams are composed of motivational tunes. A reality reward system exists with soul merit rules. I am ready now for my angel investor meeting to prove to myself I'm a real artistic being.
Poet A. Charles, everybody, give it up. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B. Dable.
What the fuck am I doing? Where am I going? What's the reason? Ask for the questions that haunt me when I breathe in, and these are them. So, where are the answers then? Well, it seems too easy to say that I can't see clearly, but it's true because the proof it falls in streaks, revealing the truth that's sprawled beneath. As rain cuts through a sheet of smeared condensation, the pain drips deep, but clear if I'm to give it concentration. So I sit and I wait. And though I've got time to contemplate, the thoughts kept at bay, not by force, but acceptance of state. And all while August crept away with the grace of a tortoise looking for a mate. See, we've all got a bit complacent. We're used to this sun and shade, and the gray's what it's going to be replaced with. It matches the tide in pace and width, except I expect the time for my mind to change will arrive like a tired friend, hinting and teasing, revealing the panting and wheezing. And I must design my tent to survive the bites I might send, because despite my attempts to tame, the teeth chatter tears my brain. I guess the sleep pattern's to blame.
Poet B. Dable, everybody. Poets, join me back up on this stage. Charles over here, Dable over here. So Charles is your red flower, Dable is your blue flower. Judges, who do we got? I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a red, and I got a blue. That's 4 blues, 1 red. That means Dable going on to the next round. And thank you to Charles for sharing your work with us. Okay. Once again, sometimes life gets in the way and sometimes people can't be in the room. So we're going to come up to the stage and hear from Chef. Give it up, everybody, for Chef.
Bukowski said if the words don't gush forth from within you, just don't do it. But there are days the words feel ready to burst outwards. Like your soul is a dam filled over capacity, the floodgates of your mouth ready to break free as though your voice itself could part the holy sea. Yet all of this momentum is halted by my single greatest enemy, doubt. There's no enemy that fights back like imposter syndrome. It's a shadow boxing match against an opponent you cannot outmaneuver. She is a malicious mistress, a succubus of spirit, seductress of ambition, able to drink your passion into dehydration. Dangles dreams of success like a cartoon fighting a bull. You feel like you've gotten close, and once the sheep pulls away, you run head first into the anvil. Writer's block. I stare at my own words and hate everything I've ever written. Spin at my work as though it were blasphemy. Consider if I've become the court gesture, that I've created a level of pity so tremendous people only applaud to humor me. Wonder if I've told the same story 1,000 times too many and think I have nothing left worth saying. I'll overanalyze every molecule of criticism like theoretical physics. Pose the question, if your heroes don't snap their fingers at your favorite lines, were they even worth writing? Doubt is a clog on the fountain of my creative flow, a lone blockage able to contain floodwaters of biblical magnitude. So some days, my words don't flood the page, but I still let them drip out. Because even the tamest waters that wash through the ravines of resistance will chisel beauty into the mundane. That constant contention can carve away canyons and erode uncertainty. I don't always feel like a poet, because I don't always have the right metaphor to explain that I have always been my own worst enemy. But I'll write it anyways, because it's what I love to do. Even if my voice is rooted in imitation, even if I stare at my computer screen and only manifest frustration, even through every single damn moment of stagnation, I will write my way through every obstacle placed before me, put here by others or even myself, because the truth is, Charles, I never fucking liked your poetry anyways.
Give it up for Shaf, everybody. Judges, I see 5 blue flowers. Way to go, Shaf. You're going on to the next round. Okay, our final bout in the second round. Poet A is going to be Rudy J. Give it up, everybody. Poet B is going to be Mo the Poet. Rudy J is Poet A, so Rudy J is going to be your red flower. Poet B is going to Mo the Poet. It's going to be your blue flower. But coming up first to the stage, let's give it up for Rudy J.
It's been 5 years, but he says he's here. He says on the big days, sis, you think I would miss this? He says on the dark days, just take a deep breath. I'll admit, I'm tired of trying to distinguish if I can really hear my baby brother's spirit, because ghosts of years past dead and gone leave me with poems like lyrics I'm tired of writing. Rhymes like choruses I'm tired of reading. When my own missing stretches too big to hold, I grieve for his son. A child forced into life's worst lesson too young, I grieve for his twin, his lost kin, his best friend, his own rib. I grieve for older brother, the keeper of our clan, the guilt he carries in blood-stained hands. I grieve for dad. Most days so much pain he can't stand to be in his own head. Empties bottles deeper than wells of wishes I keep pouring into. And Ma ain't never been the same. I don't think she could be. I don't think she should be. Even though he was 25, I bet Ma's womb never felt this empty. Ma's heart probably didn't know it could beat this heavy. Have you ever heard the sound a mother makes when her worst fear calls to say her son's face made Thursday's front page? A banshee isn't supposed to mourn and leave their own body, so I'm haunted by every iteration I hate but keep playing. 'Cause memory is both burden and saving, and bullet is both weapon and escaping. Punctured skin, after all, has a threshold, a container, but this grief keeps finding new hiding places. Makes me wonder why he keeps saying he's here when there by his bed, I mean open casket. I witnessed a body too cold, too handsome, while my eyes closed, his never reopened. But I don't blame the shooter. I blame whoever taught him the wrong definition of our father. I blame glorified thugs, pop culture, normalized guns, streets so smart they trick young men into broken beliefs. I blame absent fathers, cries for help that fall on deaf ears. Shit, some days I even blame my own brother. He's always too trusting of sideways looks and crooks because he was good. But these days, it's not enough to keep your hands in your own pockets. Stand on the side of caution, walk it, talk it, you better run. And he did, but I guess he wasn't fast enough, so here I am. Poetry, elegy, eulogy, trying to make sense of a humanity that keeps shoving platitudes of hope down my throat like a spoonful of honey could ever coat the whole. 3. Pumped into a warm, breathing body that wasn't ready, wasn't supposed to be. I bite down on death, let it break my teeth, live in the gaps. I cry oceans even though they don't bring him back. I fall to my knees, hang my sorrows like flags, hollow victories for every sunrise. He says, see, sis, I'm right here. Thank you.
Give it up for Rudy J, everybody. Rudy J is Poet A. And keep on clapping for Poet B, Mo the Poet, everybody.
Lately, I write this poem out of necessity. I carry so much grief in this body, it's no wonder my muscles are so tight. I leave most people on red. I write the longest email that I have ever written in my academic career, only to defend myself. I don't get a response for 3 weeks. I don't know how to move past this. Julia worries about me. In my quietness, the crevices of my heart, where I accept defeat, I confess I am worried too. We sit in silence. Nothing interests me anymore. I never asked for this sadness, the kind of sadness where I couldn't even do the one thing I love. And I write this poem out of necessity. Do you hear my urgency to exist in this body, or is it still difficult to listen to a drowning voice over the waves of chatter? I do not recall who it was before this incident. If you dare call it one, I cannot. It is disrespectful to the body I inhabit. Is it a mistake or disorderly advocacy? Some days I think sunny disposition is long gone. It died behind a curtain. Can you revive a ghost? And so, I write this poem out of necessity. I am so good at hiding secrets to protect you, I suppose.
Give it up for Mo the Poet, everybody. Okay. Poets, if you could please join me back on this stage. Poet A, Rudy J, is your red flower. Poet B is Mo the Poet. That's your blue flower. Judges, who do you got? I got a blue, I got a red, I got a red, I got a blue, and I got a red. That means 3-2, Rudy J. Congratulations. Mo the Poet, thank you for your poetry. That completes the second round of tonight. We've got 6 bouts to go. Johnny McRae, do you have a piece of paper for me? Johnny McRae's over there filling out our bracket, giving some results. So we are going to go in this order for our last 6 bouts here in the third round of the preliminary number 2, finding out our last 6 poets going into finals. In this order, it is going to be Herbert versus 1990s Chris, Cron Fused against Ida, Deirdre Lee against Shahada Jack, Dable versus Ever, Rudy J versus Lucia DeLuca, and Schaff versus Faya. Poets, now you know. Okay, here we go. Third round of tonight. We're going to get our last 6 finalists ready for you for tomorrow night. First bout, let's get up to the stage. Poet A is going to be Herbert. Give it up, everybody. Poet B is going to be 1990s Chris. Herbert will be your red flower. 1990s Chris will be your blue flower. Coming up first to the stage, let's give it up, everyone, for Poet A, Herbert.
When you hear the words mental health, what impressions do you see? For me, it was something that I refused to say for over 12 years straight. You see, when I was 12, I watched a movie where seemingly challenged people were locked up, tied up, some receiving treatment, others being neglected. That movie called that place a mental health hospital. Only when Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "Come with me if you want to live," that I realized how deadly that place was. During my teen years, my abusive father threatened to tie me up, thinking he could rescue me from the demons. Multiple times he said that, further contaminating the term mental health and forever wrecking my relationship with mental wellness. I eventually cut all relationships with him, but not before my teen years were forever tarnished. It wasn't until a summer camp in a skill building session that I finally got an idea of what mental health advocacy really is. I was just fresh out of university, starting to realize that after all those years, I was hiding my deepest, darkest depressions under a very big but very fake smile. For the first time in God knows how many years, I said the words mental health without fear, that I want to advocate for mental wellness, that I want to get better. Little by little, I pulled myself out of the canyon of darkness, befriending someone who encouraged me to do public speaking on mental health. I learned that 5 in 5 of us, yes, that's all of you here, have mental health. It isn't some kind of strange, fringe, foreign concept. It's something that we all have. But at the same time, however, at least 1 in 5 of you will experience some form of mental illness, and only a 10th of them will connect to some form of help. Why do we accept such a large percentage of people not getting any help? Why do we still accept mental health care to be so expensive and niche, almost no one could afford them? If you break a bone, you go to a hospital and get that taken care of. So why should we see mental health and mental illnesses any differently from that? I want to see a world where mental health is no longer shameful to say. I want to eradicate stigma against mental health care. If we want to do just that, maybe start with the movies. Tell movie makers to stop portraying mental health as something scary and start being on the right side of history and start making mental health care kind, accessible, and affordable to us all. Thanks.
Give it up for Herbert, Poet A, and keep on clapping for Poet B, 1990s Chris.
I'm a bit nervous to be here. Although I've worn my pride pin, I'm not really sure if I fit. It's like wine in a plastic tumbler or mug. It's still wine, but you can't really quite properly enjoy it. There are a lot of loud shirts here. There are men looking at me. The drinks are cheap and my body's at ease, sort of. Between this and the local, this was a good choice. Now I'm singing the choruses of gay anthems, knowing just enough of the words at the top of my voice with my partner, who is a woman, singing some of the words back to me. I just want to relate to somebody, feel the acceptance of somebody with somebody who loves me. I am on a sticky dance floor, teaching my limbs to do things they haven't been allowed to before, things they were taught weren't for boys. I worry that people are looking at me, at her, and at me, thinking that I'm just playing, that this pin is just nice guy aesthetic, that I could live this life or just as easily forget it, that my knowledge of Whitney Houston is at best pathetic, that I am a penis skeptic. Boy, you're just pretending. Boy, you don't belong here. Masquerading faux femininity. You fair weather queer. Only out when the rainbow is. Dancing on the right side of history. Hiding in plain sight. Living a straight life. Little effort. Enough mystery. If it's not them, it's her. Wondering whether she's changed her mind about my sexuality because my body is moving too far from masculinity curves where straight lines used to be too far from the way I presented myself initially when we first met and she decided that she wanted me. It's a fun night out, juggling those anxieties. I know they're coming from me. These people, these queer creatures of comfort between the binary, my people, have never said anything like that to me. And neither has she. Thank you.
Give it up for 1990s Chris, everybody. Okay. We've got Herbert. That's the red flower. We got 1990s Chris. That's your blue flower. Judges, let me see who you got. Blue. That's going to be 1990s Chris. Moving on to finals. Thank you, Herbert, for your poetry. Guys, I just want to quickly give some love and respect to our poets no longer in the competition. So if we could have a big round of applause for Altogether Lisa, Alita Casey, Charles, And Mo the poet. Thank you for your words. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you. Can't wait to see you again. And we're going to bring up our next bout. We've got on the Poet A side, give it up for Confused. And Poet B is going to be Ida. Give it up, everybody. Confused is going to be your red flower. Ida is going to be your blue flower. And first, we're going to hear from Poet A. Give it up for Confused, everybody.
Hey. So I wasn't really sure which poem to do next. We've had a lot of heaviness. We've had a little bit of silliness, so I thought maybe I would ask, do you guys want something more serious or more sweet? Yeah. Sweet? Okay. I like my coffee sweet and creamy. It wakes me from the state you make me, dreamy. And although both leave my lap feeling hotly, unlike coffee, I don't mind when you end up on top of me. And although I may want you all over me, just, maybe stay out of my ovaries, because I like the you and me that's we without all the needs and deeds hung up around babies. And, maybe the only baby I need is you, or some sunny ones or two for when I'm too blue for an indigo individual like you to know what to do. And the same goes for you. I want all your daydreams, delightful or debaucherous, to come true, but mostly I just want to fall asleep next to and make coffee for you. Thank you.
Give it up for Confused, everybody. Poet A. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B. Ida.
It is the 8th day of the protests. I have been crying all day from pain and grief and hope and the weight of history. We tried to go out dancing, but there were too many white people in the club. Now we are in your home, the one you share with her. It is the first time we are really here alone. Purple lighting, flora, the Virgin Mary hung high on the wall. There is a pomegranate on the windowsill. It's been sitting there a while, maybe even since you moved in. But it's the fruit of knowledge. You can't just let it rot. So I cut it open in your kitchen while you lounged, your black Siamese cats prowling around you. I cut off the crown, sliced the fruit in half, picked each seed out with unsteady hands, the juice, the blood of my homeland, the juice trickling down Saeed's chin as he laughed, the juice staining my mother's fingers as she picked each seed out with unsteady hands. I come back from the kitchen, tiny white bowl filled with tiny pale reds. You put 2 in your mouth, wince at the tartness, the bite, and I smile. It's an American pomegranate, after all. I tell you about the pomegranates in Iran. Scarlet, garnet, ruby, blood, dark and sweet and sticky like the sin they tried to bleed out of us. You are sleeping now. I am thinking of sin. I am thinking of Furugh Farrokhzad's poems in my mother's mouth, thinking of all the ways in which woman reads wrong and in how many languages. As many as a pomegranate has seeds, I guess.
Poet B. Ida, everybody, give it up. Join me back on the stage. Confused on this side. Ida on this side. Smile for the camera. Judges. Confused, red flower. Ida, blue flower. Who do we got? I got a red, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue. Ida. Ida going on to finals tomorrow. Confused, thank you for your poetry. Okay. Next bout, here we go. Poet A is gonna be Deirdre Lee. Yeah, give it up. Poet B is gonna be Shahada Jack. Deirdre Lee will be your red flower. Shahada Jack will be your blue flower. And first up to the stage, Poet A. Let's hear for Deirdre Lee, everybody.
Do you hear that? Like a seed's crack and burst, or the green leaf that's first to unfurl into the cool spring air. I'm here and you're there, but something's happening. I could feel it, tactile, like I could peel it right out of the atmosphere. You're there and I'm here, but something is flowing in, growing on, bestowing onto us if we just allow it to be. Without the push-pull tension that can warp our reality, when our beginning begins, is up to us exclusively, because if yesterday doesn't really exist and tomorrow is a shadowy door, the only question that matters is, what are we waiting for? The music is playing, it's slow, soft, and sweet, but the rhythm we're following is the one our two pulses beat through our bodies each time that we touch. How can the most innocuous contact somehow create such sensations? Whew. I think about it too much, like all day, and I'm smiling excessively, even for me, with a head full of Marvin Gaye, like, I've been really trying, baby. Trying to hold back these feelings for so long. But if you feel like I feel, baby, come on. And then come the moments of OMG, WTF is going on, when my overthinker runs in overdrive from dusk till dawn, and I'm parsing for subtext and shit to freak out about, surrounded by metaphorical baggage and doubt. The urge to bolt begins building in the exits I scout. Oh, and then I remember to breathe again. First in, and then out. And I picture your smile, and my belly fills up with cartoon butterflies. And momentarily, I contemplate letting go of disguise. No more hiding or pretending or lies, though the latter I've been telling only to me, trying to deny what I already knew intuitively. Silly, obviously, because look, I don't know a lot, but what I do know, I do. Like this. You're special to me. And I am to you too. We could be falling in love. I guess that's possibly true, whether as friends, muses, or soulmates. That part isn't clear, just that kind of out of nowhere, someone can become so dear and near that I forget about fear. See, in this forest of feelings, it's my courage that keeps me moving forth. My heart is my compass, and it is pointing true north. And if I travel alone or with your hand held in mine, fingers mimicking ways that ourselves intertwine, by firelight, by starlight, by moonlight, by sun, some connections, once forged, cannot be undone. Even if happily ever after is not where we're going, I'll remember embraces amongst trees while it's snowing, and I'll miss not just your kiss or your smell or your taste, but your love.
Give it up for Deirdre Lee, everybody. Poet A. And keep on clapping for Poet B, Shahada Jack, everybody.
Do you know your story? The one that isn't inherently prefixed by the word his. The one that doesn't force womanhood into a monolithic experience. Do you know your story? The one that is still yet to be written, the one that is the understated epilogue of your ancestors' greatest wishes. Do you know your story? The one that will someday be the blueprint of your unforgettable legacy, the one that doesn't hide your moments of vulnerability, the one that doesn't shame your fears into disastrous silence. Know that your story is more than institutional expectation and societal perception. Your worth is more than profitable trauma, stolen features, and extorted identity. There is more to you than beauty, body, pain. There is a sacred power in your gifted name, a hidden memory in the mother tongue that speaks it. There are buried queens that could have only dreamed of your existence. There are little girls who find purpose in your footprints. Young woman, I hope you know. You are the joy that dances in your laughter. You are the strength in your curls. You are the hope that is birthed in despair. You are more than a hashtag. You are the soul that sparks the movement. You are the vessel of endless possibilities that shine every time you open your eyes. You are the champion of her story. When his story is challenged, you are girl, woman, human. You are writer, protagonist, illustrator, survivor, dreamer, and risk taker of a reality that screams to the world that our stories are enough.
Shahada Jack, everybody. Poets, if you could join me up on this stage. Deirdre Lee on this side, Shahada Jack on this side. Deirdre Lee was poet A, that's your red flower. Shahada Jack was poet B, that is your blue flower. Judges, 3, 2, 1, put them up. I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a blue, I got a red. 4-1, Shahada Jack moving on to finals. Deirdre Lee, thank you for your poetry. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Coming up next to the stage, Poet A is going to be Dable. And Poet B is going to be Ever. Give it up, everybody, for these two poets coming to the stage. Dable will be your red flower. Ever will be your blue flower. Coming up first to the mic is Poet A. Give it up for Dable, everybody.
I almost say it every day, but consistent challengings made the question take its place, and it helps. It saves my brain's health. Like, do I really hate myself? Do I have to search around and wait for help? Nah, I get in touch with myself and watch the hurt just melt away, because it's an early grave the way the dirty days stack, like haystacks. Paycheck to paycheck, order to mayhem. All of those 8 a.m.s and nothing to show but achy limbs. And I know you know that no one can tell you what to say or how to feel, but you can, though. That's real. See, if I want to take a break, then I will. Quench the internal furnace, drench the circus. Look, I've checked the surface, but the lurking burning's concerning, so I'm turning hoping to coping, enduring to emerging, and you can learn this. Yes, okay. I guess stress is necessary, but it can lead astray, practically taking your breath away, so practice caution. You spend your whole life trying to sort the cause, lose track of your thoughts, fall into an endless spin, and what for? Just talk. Kindly to yourself, of course. See, questioning's the best quest within. Catch the bee by the sting before you let it in, because ignoring's more damaging than boring. I implore you. Firewall your thoughts, dude. It's just like, do I really hate myself? Do I have to search around and wait for help? Nah, I get in touch with myself and watch the hurt just melt. Knelt down, I dealt myself the belt. I felt around and I was astounded by this empty well. I attempt to quell the sound of farewell, another lengthy hell. Heavy, hefty, sweaty smell, the slick, sticky drip dwells. But a forceful expel makes the fall course. I hit the source with the full force of an elk. Fuck it, I need to pause and recount. 'Cause my pores leak out, but I'm not sure I need help. I plow my weeds with my mouth, let me breathe. And breathe out. Now look, you know I only shout to help drag us out the drought. Rally round, we'll end the deepening of this coastal shelf. Then maybe your kids could have kids themselves, yeah. Let's climb out. Generational gobby fish style. See, a smile's infectious, but did you know you can infect yourself? Experts doubt, but let's test it now. Because respite from this stress might make the best light for the next plight. It's a test flight. Your task is to delve for new sight. Let me choose wise and I'll advise you twice. Ask yourself, do I really hate myself? Do I have to search around and wait for help? No. No. Get in touch with yourself and watch the hurt just melt.
Cody, Dable, everybody. And coming up to the stage, keep on clapping for Poet B, Ever.
You looked foreign, evil, even something in the way your eyes rest when unencountered. Passive, the greatest cruelty. You move like breathing has no consequence, like your night faces no interruption, you do not pause. Unconsciously anchor for half a second in recognition, offer a soft blink of reconciliation. Render a conclusion on how, if I sleep with the door unlocked, will my demons crawl in and hold me? We cohabitate in symbiosis so silent you'd think these walls are holy. Apologies work sometimes. Say sorry so that you can come home to me. We'll spend the night shift like we're in a black and white movie animating the dead past. We watch the night of the living dead at school. Dr. Bob said it's in the public domain, it can be legally pirated, so let's act out the scenes, saying, let's play house and make the walls out of glass so that it can shatter for everyone to see. The fairest exchange, I'll eat your brains and you retch a steak into me. Camera and film industry, commercialization aside, if I crawled to you in the privacy of the night, would you let me ball up at the foot of your bed? I would make a really good sleep paralysis demon. Does that look good on my resume? It's because I'm an old soul in the worst way. Marble stone gaze, because when I'm phased, I fade into a child again, the Medusa effect. If I offer you my burdens like begging, will you beckon some empathy? Did you practice that breakup speech, time it out to make sure you could still make your dinner plans? I hear ghosts knock on the door on tippy toes and knee-length clothes. I peek through the peephole in hopes that you've come back. Stand steady in the doorframe. Possess me with your patience that endures long enough to lose shame. And just look at me with something other than those evil eyes. Thank you.
Give it up for Ever, everybody. Get back on up here. Over on this side. Come on in closer for the camera. We had Poet A, Dable. That's your red flower. We had Ever, blue flower. Judges. Let me see who you got. Put them up. I got a red. I got a blue. I got a red. I got a blue. and a red. Poet A is your victor here. That means that Dable is going to finals. Thank you for your poetry ever. And in our next bout, Poet A is going to be Rudy J. Poet B is going to be Lucia DeLuca. Clap for him, clap for him, clap for him. Rudy J, Poet A will be your red flower. Lucia DeLuca, Poet B will be your blue flower. But we are going to hear from Poet A first, so start clapping now for Rudy J.
I take his empties to the beer store once a week, walk through sliding doors with my bag while I read, the expression on each face as I pass. I know what they are thinking, but they're my dad's. I don't drink beer, it's too heavy, too strong, sits in my stomach all wrong, but backing out of that lot, loose change in one fist, I am champion for turning his addiction into this. My dad pays his rent once every 3 months, but buys a 6-pack of tall cans almost daily. My dad, a shy man, liquid courage flowing through, loves to share how he immigrated to Canada when he was only 22. How he met Mom selling jewelry on the beaches of Sosua. Yeah, Dad, we know. I came to this country with nothing. Here we go. The islands of Dominicana flow through his veins in their purest. It's why he is the local and I am the tourist. It's why I stopped wishing he'd been the kind of dad who knew how to fix flat tires, be at school plays, the kind of dad who's supposed to teach me to ride bikes and tie shoes into lace. Why I never had the courage to demand the right way to be treated. Instead, this man made me become exactly who I needed. My dad, born into a family of 16, told me once he found garbage in the street. The chicken, he said, was just bones, and well, that was like gold, and I understand why he came to this country with nothing. Why he spent the last 30 years stretching his body to roll paint, why he has only the ache in his bones to show for, why he couldn't give me more. A ripe avocado, the smell of fried plantain on my clothes. I understand he couldn't give me what he himself never had, but if English were his first language, I would say, teach me, Dad, how to hold steady when the world attacks, how to be okay when the boy doesn't call me back. Teach me to stand straight in any room, to never confuse love and abuse. Teach me when to pause, when to praise, when to bend, when to break, when to leave, when to stay. It's okay to make mistakes. Right, Dad? My dad, after more than a few, wraps both arms like branches. My baby, I love you. And although they aren't enough, I know his words are true, so I let them hold me, let my body go rigid, 10 cents at a time. I let his empties split the difference.
Poet A, Rudy J, everybody. And keep those clapping hands clapping for Poet B. Give it up for Lucia DeLuca.
My Nonna Donata was born in winter but grew wings in her 91st summer. While she died, her youngest grandchild turned 17, and the rabbit's nest in the rich soil of my mom's oregano patch pulsed. In the same inhale, I watched Nana's heart peek its ears from her shallow chest. At the hospital, an orderly asked, "English or French?" "Italian," I answered, too late for either of them to share a language the way Nonna distributed leftovers on a Sunday afternoon, made intentionally to sit in containers in our laps as we'd wave to her from the car. She'd stand at her window until we were completely out of sight. Grouped around her hospital bed, we broke silence by playing hot potato at light chit-chat. When dropped, we had nothing to throw and got caught in our labored breathing until someone picked up the conversation again. But always in English, it was so much easier to pass back and forth without hesitating and then ricocheting off the shin of an instinctiveless IV pole that was no longer attached to her wrist. Growing up, We'd pause every so often to catch Nana up on the conversation, and she never interrupted, even though she understood so little. But when she spoke to my parents, aunts, and uncles in Italian, just before plates were cleared, it was the youngest of us who fumbled as we tried to catch the words we lost but recognized, shot back with little aim, pleaded to know. What did Nana say? When she died, the only way I entered her hospital room was by picturing a version of her before Alzheimer's. In her blue dress with the white flowers, getting up from the dinner table to take my hand and stand beside me as I watched her still chest. The rabbit's nest in my mom's backyard had hatched, so it was still two. I let go of the hand I was imagining to pat her on her very real but lifeless shoulder. The hand I was imagining caught the hesitancy in my palm with accuracy and led me to the elevator. The Nana I was imagining stood there until the doors were completely closed. Before reaching the ground floor, the elevator opened onto the maternity ward. A couple walked in with their newborn baby. I looked from the tiny human that seemed bigger than Nana was in her last moments to their parents' smiling faces, fumbled to find the right word, lined it up in my mouth, but landed with little aim, and said, "Congratulations."
Lucia DeLuca, everybody. Okay. We got Rudy J. That's your red flower. We got Lucia DeLuca. That's your blue flower. It's getting tough, judges. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Flowers up. I got a red. I got a blue. I got a red. I got a red. And I got a red. Give it up for Rudy J. Rudy J. moving on to finals. And thank you, Lucia DeLuca, for your poetry. Here we go. One to go, guys. Here we go. Welcome up to the stage, Poet A, Shaft. Poet B, Fire. Bring them on up here, guys. Shaft is going to be your red flower. Fire will be the blue flower. Coming up first to the mic, Poet A. Let's hear it for Shaft.
There was a time I was naive, when I mistakenly believed that I was lucky. And not the type of luck in which I could pluck winners from games built for schmucks, but the type of fortune that allowed me to sidestep self-distortion. I thought I was lucky to have been born into a mold that fit me perfectly, to have never known the terror of uncertainty, drowning in dictionaries, desperate to define myself. To have never known, have no place to seek refuge, to be refused the safety of every lobby, even within my own body. But I know now it wasn't luck. And if I never broke free of these prejudiced shackles that bound me, I may never have learned the beautiful diversity of the human spirit. That I may still believe we are simple machines, binary in thought and existence, that our contribution to society began at birth and ends by what hides behind our zipper. I'm grateful to have learned the true term of who I was and continue to be. Privileged. So sure, it may be a bitter pill to swallow to learn that you have followed a pilgrimage towards anger and hatred, but we cannot be afraid or ashamed to confront the mistakes we've made, to change our course, to grow as people. Because now I know luck didn't paint pentamentos of black and white over worlds of color and beauty. It isn't luck that keeps perspectives hidden in closets wrapped around belt buckles that ended far too many would-be memoirs in tragedy. Luck has nothing to do with the ongoing extermination of people as though they were an infestation. And luck didn't muster the courage of countless men and women to be recognized as something more that inspired thousands to stand up with ACT UP and Stonewall when the whole damn world told them to sit down. And I know it's not my place to tell their stories. Because I don't believe in taking space away from those fighting in the ring with something to say, but I've lost too many friends to keep playing polite games. Allies, The time has come to recognize that we are responsible to protect our most vulnerable, to realize that every great stride forward leaves us with centuries of outpacing to compensate for. The time has come to defend them, protect them, stand beside them, behind them, be every single place they need you to be, no matter your personal belief. This is their reality of a world increasingly intolerant where their right to exist is still an argument. The time has come. The fight is on, so put your dukes up before their luck runs out.
Yeah, give it up for Poet A. Schaff, everybody. And keep on clapping for Poet B. Give it up for Fire.
Son of David, made to sing the symphonies of war, son of matrons, son of whores, orphan, son of soldiers, real nigga standing on the corner, garnering the sympathy of lords and the worship of the poor. Chorus bringing melodies in rage, chanting giving calm inside storms. And after crimson stains are made, and I have dipped my hand into the ocean to pull out pearls from the jaws of dead friends, when I am left standing over graves, still breathing but counted with the dead men, I will pour one drop of liquor in the soil for every shot that helps me forget the cold. Son of Christendom and kingdoms and freedom and other things we seized from heathens, I'm a descendant of the stars. I come from children of the hills, was brought forth from daughters of closed rivers, all these legacies forgotten when we formed the horde, buried old ways under golden monuments to unity. From how many dead tribes has this organism grown? How many warriors folded in to make its metal bones? Languages contorted until they speak in common voice, the tuneless produce of the void. From the pagan hosts came a gorgeous velvet roar, the beauty we created to be followed up with horror. Did all of us forget the symphony of war? Was it cleansed to make us holy? Did the tide of blood from innocence turn all of us immortal? Or have we just reforged the sword into something with a trigger any idiot can pull? Real nigga standing on the corner, no armor, just a weapon and a cold soul. Might be dead tomorrow, but he sings the symphony he knows, no concerto or complexity. It's a repetitive and simple flow made from all the hurt he has been shown. But all us children born holy love to listen to his stories. They make us feel warmer in our cold homes.
Give it up for Poet B. Fire, everybody. Okay, guys. Okay, bring it in. Smile for the YouTube. Okay, you had Schaff, Poet A, that's the red flower. You had Poet B. Fire, that's a blue flower. Judges, last duty of the night. Let me see what you got. 3, 2, 1. I got a blue. I got a red, I got a red, I got a red, and I got a blue. That means that Schaff is going on to finals. We thank you, Fire, for your poems. Right now, just want to give some love and respect for the poets who are not going to be joining us in finals. Let's hear it for Herbert. Come on. Let's hear it for Herbert, Confused, Deirdre Lee, Ever, Lucia DeLuca, and Fire. And just for those who are wondering, in no particular order, these are your 12 finalists for tomorrow night. Carissa, Jules, Maya Spoken, Rusty, Nico Smart, Star Jewel, 1990s Chris, Ida, Shahada Jack, Dabble, Rudy J, and Schaff. We will be here tomorrow night, doors 6:30, show to start at 7, featuring Lillian Allen. And then we will do our finals, 12 finalists, down to 6. Down to 2, down to 1. I also want to let you know about events going out on Saturday. The Right Bloody Showcase is at the Nest, 5 o'clock. The Nest is in Granville Island. Lillian Allen also has a keynote speaker event at the Nest on Saturday at 2 o'clock? 1? I just expect you to know everything, Johnny McRae. I believe it's 2 o'clock. But yeah, that's happening at the Nest on Saturday. We will see you there. We will see you tomorrow night for finals. It's going to be a jam. It's going to be great. We're gonna find a champ, and we're gonna send them to all the big things. Awesome. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow night.
you.